Hey, my name is Richie and I'm going to show you guys how you can create an interactive interface. So first of all, you can obviously expand that interface and how you want, but I'm showing you guys how I created this one, and hopefully you can, make your own versions up with it and, let me see them. So things that we need 7 different types of triggers. We also need a color changing tile, that is our background. We need a button or some kind of device. It could also be another trigger. It does not need to be a button. We need some kind of billboard, which we can put the text on. I highly recommend putting on the text before you start anything else, so you know how many triggers you need. And we also need a 3 music sequencer. So we want to start off by placing our color changing tile as our background. We want to set the theme setting to 16, which gives it a black look, which I think looks like a turn-off monitor. Keep in mind, if you are creating something with multiple themes, then this could lead to problems. So the other thing that you want to change is the set theme when receiving from. You want to set that channel to the same channel as your button. That is very important, otherwise it will not change the colors. The person that is going to activate the button and that theme that person assigned to will change that color. So the next thing that we want to add is our text, and I already pre-made them, as I already said, so I'm going to place them, but I'm not turning anything on and off yet. So the next thing we want to add is obviously channels to the billboards. We start off by the user one, and for the user one I'm going to choose the 1 and 2. It makes the most sense. Obviously the welcome user is the first thing you want to see. So set text visible to 1 and set text hidden to 2. Okay, now we want that this obviously turns on and off. So we are going to pick up the main one here. We have 1 and 2 right here. So we're going to pick them both up and going over here to our first music sequencer. Okay, so now that we have placed our triggers, we now want to space them out a little bit, so we're gonna place it right at the start here, and we're gonna place our height one at the end. So let's do it like this. The reason why we're gonna place them like this is because we can change the speed of the music sequencer to something whatever we want. That is a cool thing. You can change it up. If you want to have it faster or slower, you can change it in here. So we're gonna set it to, I think, like 50 or something. That's a good amount. So we set it to 50. And we also want to set up the music sequencer if we're here already. So set up the music sequencer to the same one as the button. So if you press the button, the music sequencer starts. So we start the music sequencer with 7, I guess, yeah. So now if we press the button, obviously the music sequencer will start. Our text turns visible and then it turns off. So now we have our first part of our interface, but we also want to add the choose weapon and select our weapons. So now what we do is we're gonna go into choose weapons and set visible to the same channel as the one that hides the first one. So set it to 2. So, and the hide one, we don't particularly need that in our interface now. But if you obviously have more layers to this, you want to add an hide option. We don't need that, so we can save a channel for that. We also want to set this on the shotgun and the rifle one, because we obviously want to appear the shotgun and the rifle text at the same time as the choose weapon. So we're gonna select that, 2 and 2. And, oh, no, that's 1, 2 and 2. And now if we would run the whole thing, we could see that first of all the user is going to appear, then it disappears, and it shows the choose weapon and rifle. Obviously now we still have everything on, so I think we should just test it out. And welcome user and choose weapon, rifle, and shotgun. Obviously that is not centered and not how we want it, but it works. That's good. So now, very important, since our sequence only should run once, and if you press the button again, it should not start over again, we need to change some settings in here. And the only thing that we actually need to change is times that can be triggered to 1. So change it on both of these trigger devices, and however much you click on the button, this sequence will not repeat. So now we want to add the beacons. So starting off, obviously we want to have 2 beacons in here. Let's move this one. And we also want to turn on the text again, so we see something where we need to place them. So now that we placed everything, we want to make sure that both of these are disabled. We can disable them from the beginning because we obviously have the balls under it, so we can see where they actually are. So disable them, and let's add a couple things to them. So starting off, we want to give both of them obviously their own channels. So we give this first one 3 and 4 for disabling and enabling it, and we want to give this one 5 and 6. So, and that is basically all we need to do for these two little beacons. Now we obviously want to add their triggers to the music sequencer. We start off by the starting one, which is the first one, A, and we are going to add both of them into this one. So you want to place them above each other because they want to be triggered at the same time. And you might ask, why are you placing 3 and 6 in here and not 3 and 4? Because we want that if I'm going to click on the first beacon, then I want obviously the first beacon to be enabled to see, and I want the second one to be disabled. So that's the reason why we have the hide option for the second one in the first section. So there are also a couple of settings we need to change in here. We start on with the floor one, and that one is going to make the first beacon visible. Things we want to change in here is transmit every X triggers. So that basically means that it is only transmitting something if it gets triggered 2 times. That is important for the switching around the beacon things. Another thing we want to add is, since this is our first beacon we want to see, we want to change the trigger when receiving from channel to 2. So what this is doing is, if this trigger gets triggered, then this trigger also gets triggered. Even though we set it to 2, it also gets triggered twice because this one also activates. So it shows us our first beacon, which we want to have. And as I already said, this is only important for the first one. After that, these two will be disabled anyways. So it does not really matter what we put in there. And for the top one, we also want to set channel 2. This is more like a convenient thing, and it doesn't really do anything too much, but just do it because, you know, sometimes Fortnite is buggy and it can help to prevent some bugs. So yeah. And so now we can test it, and if we press the button, then the color is changing. That's good. And here we can see we only have the shotgun one, which we wanted to have. If we now press this, obviously there's nothing going to happen because we did not set up the second one. Okay, so now let's add our last triggers. And for this one, we want to add 5 and 4, which is obviously the opposite thing of what we just added. Put that down here, put in the 5 on here, put the 5 above that. And okay, so now we obviously need to adjust a couple of things in here as well. And we want to change nothing in the first one. This one is the disable one for your first beacon. And for the last one, we obviously want to set it to 2 as well. So we can switch around with the settings. And we also want to set it to that same channel. And basically you don't need to change anything else in here for that. The only important thing that comes now, you might want to not directly put that on here. We want to actually now add something to the music sequencer, which is very important. We want to set the starting sequence to 7, which is the same thing as we always did. And we also want to set the stop sequence to 3. And what this channel is basically doing is giving us a chance to switch around the 2 beacons with a single button. So now if we start our game and press our button, we can see the tiles are changing, the text is popping off, and we can actually change our beacon. But if we now change it for the 3rd time, we can see that it's not going to appear here, and that's something we're gonna solve now. Okay, to solve this problem, we need the last trigger that is still remaining here. And we need to add that trigger to our first line, to our main line, you could say. We're gonna add that here, and then we're gonna change it to 8. So 8 is a new different channel. And what this trigger is doing, it is going to We also need to change two settings in here. So first of all, we start with the bottom one, and we need to change trigger when receiving from to channel 4. That is obviously the channel above here, and we need to set that channel to disabled and to channel 8. And this is basically a one-time thing that we need for the first, activation. So nothing in here gets triggered, and we can, repeat the loop. And now if we go on here, we can see that if we press it, everything turns on. That's good. We have a beacon over the shotgun, and then if we press it, it's working, and it's working. Okay, that is basically it. We now created our interface, and we obviously have to make it a little bit more beautiful, and we need to add the weapons and stuff like that. But you don't need to add the weapons. You can also add barriers. Basically, what you need to do is, if we go back into creative mode, you can see that we have these two balls here. And these are basically representing things that we can change stuff to. So all you need to do is set anything up that has an enable and disable channel to the same settings as these two beacons. Obviously, if you have more beacons, you can set them up like that too. But all we need to do, we can basically do it with everything that has an enable and disable channel. So I finish up this thing, and then I'll show you guys what else you could use to switch around with. So, and as you guys can see, you could obviously do it with all kind of stuff. We have welcome user, and then our shotgun is a black barrier, and the rifle is broad. So it's completely your choice, and hopefully that video was helpful for you guys. And I hopefully could give you guys some inspiration. And don't forget to leave a like, subscribe would help a lot. And I will see you guys hopefully in my next video. Bye.